All right, my friends. What is up? Brian here. And today I'm talking about Ahsoka Episode 3. Full spoilers here, as you could see in the title and thumbnail. Just finished watching the episode a few minutes ago. Had a little bit of time to reflect on it. And just a little bit of context first. I have seen all of Clone Wars at least once. Some episodes I've watched multiple times. And I've seen all of Rebels once, as well as watching Twilight Apprentice multiple times and watching seasons 3 and 4 twice. I just wanted to watch the last two seasons, finished them recently to prepare for Ahsoka, because that obviously is going to be the most relevant, is what happened with Thrawn, and kind of wanted to refresh all of that storyline. Let me make sure I've got volume. Beautiful, I've got volume. Fabulous, fantastic. Let me know how my video quality is. Okay, actually it looks good for me. Fabulous, fantastic. So I just got to check all those stream things that we all love and all that good stuff. But so that's my background. Is I've seen all this stuff. I've seen pretty much any Star Wars content that's out there, except some of Vision Season 2, and I've never seen the entirety of Solo. But other than that, I've seen all the movies, all the TV shows, pretty much all of the Star Wars content. I consumed a ton of the now deemed Legends books back in middle school, high school, grade school, all that stuff. All of the stuff that's unfortunately been washed away. But this is where we are now. And Ahsoka Episode 3. What do I think of it? I didn't feel as overwhelmingly excited and positive about it as I did episodes 1 and 2. We'll see if that's just kind of the mood that hit me tonight. I had some other stuff going on in my life that was kind of distracting me from maybe enjoying it to the fullest. Sorry, my framing was a little bit weak there. Nice, okay. There we go. Framing is much better. But yeah, so I was not necessarily as overwhelmingly positive. Like, I'd give episodes 1 and 2 roughly like an 8 out of 10 score. This one I would give 6.57. It just didn't necessarily grab me as much. I felt like some of the acting was a little more stilted. I didn't quite buy it as much. I thought in the first couple episodes, the gal who played Sabine absolutely knocked it out of the park. I didn't quite feel it so much here. I think some of what I felt is I felt like she she'd evolved a lot in like the last couple episodes. Like, she was in a different place in her life. And this felt almost too much like going back to Rebels Sabine, where she didn't have any of the maturity that it kind of felt like, oh, maybe she'd gotten a little bit of in the 10 years since, pardon me, since the end of Rebels, since the Battle of Lothal, all that kind of stuff. It felt like she was acting a little more teenager rather than like mid-20s, like she should be. So that was a little weird for me. I felt like the politics with Hera were a little bit dry. I'm somebody who actually does not mind the prequel politics, but it felt just a little bit weird. I don't know can't quite put my finger on what felt a little bit weird and off about it, but it just felt a little weird and off, maybe a little too casual, maybe a little too, just a little strange. Mon Mothma felt just a little bit too familiar with Hera. That could be that I have not played, I think it's called like Star Wars Squadrons. I can't remember what the video game is, but there's a video game with Hera in it. And I think that goes into maybe more of what Hera was doing after Rebels, like during the battle against the Empire and all of that. So maybe there's a relationship there with Mon Mothma that I don't know. I know Mon Mothma was in a little bit of Rebels, but I don't feel like they were ever like that close. And kind of the dynamic with the senators. I would have liked to see a little bit more depth because I felt like there was something with that one senator guy who was, kind of a butt about everything, but I don't remember him from Rebels. I don't remember him from other Star Wars content. So I don't know if there's going to be more to him, if he's just kind of there to be a little bit of an obstacle. But it felt like there's a history there that I should have known about. So that threw me a little bit. Hera's son, I didn't really feel that strongly one way or the other. He seemed fine. He didn't have a whole lot to do. That's cool. Let's see. As far as Sabine's training itself, definitely felt kind of a callback to A New Hope. Maybe a little bit too much for my liking. But then it took a little bit of a different twist with the lightsaber training being more dual. You could definitely see what Dave Filoni was talking about when he was, talking about it being a samurai story. Because it very, very much, felt like the Last Samurai training sequence or something from the old samurai films. Very, very much that sort of samurai training type sequence with a little bit of a Jedi spin on it. Felt a little bit strange, but not terrible. But yes, I didn't get into it as much as I was hoping to get into it. Huang, I'm saying that droid. The droid voiced by David Tennant. Love that droid though. He's, I think partly because he's voiced by David Tennant. He's one of my favorites. If Chopper wasn't in the series, he'd hands down be my favorite droid in the series. I think he and Chopper are the only droids in the series. But like even if there were other droids in the series, like he'd be absolutely my favorite. But I love Chop too, so didn't get too much of Chop in this episode, unfortunately. But oh dear, I'm so sorry. Oh, gotta yawn. But yeah, didn't get too much Chop. Definitely got a lot of good Huang. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering that name. But really enjoy him. Enjoy all the banter. I love that David Tennant voiced him in Clone Wars and got to come back and voice him here. Very, very nice touch. I like when they can pull back the same actors when it works. I feel like for Ahsoka herself, like Rosario Dawson's doing a great job at playing kind of an older, more stoic Ahsoka. I feel like it works really well here. Like Ashley Eckstein, love her. And I think like if they'd chosen to use her in the role, she probably would have done a fantastic job as well. But I think kind of Rosario Dawson's take on the little bit older, more stoic Ahsoka, this would be about 10, 11 years after we last saw her in Rebels. So, she's again had a lot of time in solitude, doing who knows what. I hope that maybe we'll get a little bit of what she was doing between the end of Rebels and now. And I'm not talking about like the post-credit scene that we already saw in episode 2. I'm talking about like what she was doing after, like right after escaping World Between Worlds and up to when she basically up through Return of the Jedi and a little bit more of when she started to train Sabine and all of that. It's going to be interesting to see going to be very interesting to see what's going on with Sabine, if she's actually going to be force sensitive. Um, some of the dialogue did feel a little weird. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit. I told myself I'd be more organized, but I'm just giving my thoughts kind of as they pop into my head. Some of the dialogue between her and Ahsoka did feel a little bit stilted, and that's to be expected, I guess. I don't know. It's Star Wars. Star Wars is not king for dialogue. It's not Shakespeare. You can't expect it to be Shakespeare, and that's cool. That's okay. I'm good with that. It didn't take me out too much. When they finally saw the ring, that was kind of a cool sequence. The only thing that really took me out of it is I didn't like the laser sounds that they used. They sounded really like pew, 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 pew. Like not the nice heavier laser sounds that I personally really enjoy in Star Wars. Like I think my favorite laser sounds are the TIE Fighter and Slave One. Those that sound design, chef's kiss, just so good. Love those. So the very muted sound didn't do it for me. Took me out of the sequence a little bit. I think I would have enjoyed the sequence a lot more if we had actually gotten like a really nice meaty laser sound from all of the ships. I think that would have added a lot to that sequence, because I kept thinking about the laser sound and not being focused on the potential tension. Actually, the only kind of potential tension that I really felt in that scene was being worried that they were going to kill off the Sith apprentice lady without going deeper into her story. Thankfully, they did not. She and Marok survived, so there's still plenty of opportunity to hopefully delve deeper into their stories. I think I'm actually a lot more interested in some ways in the Sith characters, or the Dark Jedi, I guess as they are, and the Inquisitor, Marok, and I'm forgetting the names, Balon, and I'm forgetting the gal's name, his apprentice. But I'm very, very interested in their stories, their characters. I think that that's just going to be very, very interesting to see what they're up to, what they're doing. That's going to be awesome, honestly. I'm really excited for that, and I'm hoping that they actually will delve deeper into those characters and won't just kind of let them not have depth, because I think that would be a huge mistake of the show, especially since we lost Ray, I believe Ray Stevens. I want to double check his name. Ray Stevenson. Ray Stevenson. Yes, Ray Stevenson. Since we lost Ray Stevenson, I really hope that we get more of, hopefully, a complete story for Balon this season, because, again, Ray has passed, and we're not going to be able to get that in future seasons unless they recast, which I just don't hope that they wouldn't necessarily do. Again, that's a really tricky situation that we had, with Carrie Fisher, that definitely threw a big wrench in the sequel trilogy, even though the whole thing was kind of a mess. But yeah, so where was I going with that? Oh, just interested. So kind of like the only tension I really felt in that scene was being worried that they were going to make the story choice to kill off the Sith apprentice before we had a chance to really dive a little bit deeper, get a little bit meatier with her character. But they didn't do that, so she's still around, so we still have some time to get deeper, a little bit meatier with her character. But overall, the dogfight was interesting. It kind of left me feeling like somehow Sabine is really incompetent, and Ahsoka felt kind of incompetent, which I didn't necessarily love, because at this point I feel like they wouldn't be that incompetent. I mean, I get that it could take a little bit to get back in the swing of working together and firing guns and stuff, because we don't know how long it's been since Sabine has been flying, since Sabine's been in the dogfight. But we saw, for her piloting skills and stuff, we saw like her on that speeder doing like really cool stuff in the first episode. So I kind of get the sense that she should have been a little bit more competent than she was. So that was a little bit bothersome to me, honestly. Felt like her character regressed in a way that she wouldn't have. Felt like she should still, have that Mandalorian muscle memory of being good with guns and being good with, swords, lightsaber, I guess. Good with a lightsaber, dark saber or lightsaber, all that kind of stuff. Be good with melee weapons, be good with blasters, be good with ship cannons, be really good with piloting, all that kind of stuff. So it felt a little bit kind of amateur hour for me. I don't know. This episode didn't quite hit as strongly as I wanted, and as the first two episodes really did. So we'll see. I'm kind of not judging the whole show in kind of a super crazy negative way or anything like that. But it is interesting that I didn't feel like as really, really positive as I was hoping to about the third episode. It was much shorter. I sort of feel like maybe this episode is kind of okay, we've got to get these story points out there so that we can move on to other stuff. I always don't love saying that, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people say with Star Wars shows. It's kind of a pattern with Star Wars shows sometimes, is people are like, okay, we got through this episode, now it's really going to ramp up, and then the next episode maybe isn't quite as enthralling and exciting as they wanted, and they'll say the same thing over and over again. But I think it is possible with this episode, because basically this episode got us the information about the ship that Morgan Elsbeth has. We saw the Purrgil. Didn't even talk about the Purrgil. The Purrgil look fabulous. And I'll get back to the visuals real quick. But yeah, so really got us information about that. Got Ahsoka and Sabine to kind of interacting with the whole thing going on. Presumably, they're going to find a way to go with Morgan Elsbeth and her crew, and they're all going to go to another galaxy, the unknown regions, whatever you want to call it. They're going to kind of all take that journey, while Hera is going to be back dealing with politics, it seems. And then presumably, we'll get Thrawn and maybe Ezra back into the galaxy that we know. And that's going to really be exciting, and we'll see what happens from there. I don't have a ton of huge predictions for where we're going. The show, some people might be like, oh, it's really predictable, but you never know where they're going to go with it, and I don't necessarily have a strong sense of where exactly they're going to go with it, and that's okay. I don't mind. But yeah, so we'll see. But this episode did give me a little bit of a dip from the just overwhelmingly positive feelings that I had on the first episode. So yeah, that's really kind of all my thoughts on Ahsoka episode 3. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Do you disagree with my take? Do you agree with my take? Are you more negative on it, more positive on it? I'm still kind of taking that wait and see approach. It's what I do with every Star Wars show, because sometimes things are fabulous and sometimes things are just less fabulous. Obi-Wan came out a disappointment. Mando season 3, a little bit of a mixed bag. Andor, freaking fabulous. So So yeah, so you just never know. But anyway, guys, have a fantastic day or night, and may the Force be with you.